Hello, welcome and welcome back. This is Jacob and today we are gonna be picking up something new to narrate on the channel for Arknights, and that will be the Integrated Strategies 3 Mizuki and Cerulean Arbor memory mapping section. Now that is a mouthful, isn't it? But anyway, the memory mapping section here is kinda similar but also not fully similar to IS2's monthly squad section. The monthly squad in IS2 essentially was 3 characters that would be both predetermined and have conversations in between each other as they are going through the exploration mode when you take them in, while here in the memory mapping section we don't have a squad, but we have a single character. And then you choose 2 extra characters to go or rather start the adventure alongside them. Now, because this is different, this character does not have conversations with anybody in particular, but we get 3 individual story entries for them. And as a quick reminder for people who might not be aware of what IS3 is about, essentially a big what-if scenario where the Seaborn are winning. Cthulhu is on the uprise and everybody else is, well, it's not gonna end well for them, let's put it that way. It's not gonna end well for them. And as such, this is a very heavy story, and oh boy, do I look forward to do this every single month and go over another character's story, their adventures through this goddamn thing. So yeah, be prepared. This is gonna be one hell of a story to read through. First and foremost, if you want to see my actual first time reactions to this story, I did a live stream of this here on YouTube. You can find it here on the channel, and I'll link it in the description of the video. If you want to see it, just go to the end of the video, and I did have some reactions to certain parts of this story. So this will be interesting. And speaking of, if you do want to see me go through this mode, I will be streaming this every week, so just look for the reminder here on YouTube, and hit the notification for that thing. And if you're new, maybe consider subscribing. I will be going through this thing continuously, and we will be reading everything we find. Anything that is new will be read. Nothing will be left unturned. But yeah, anyway, how about we begin with this? And I'll say one final thing before we begin. If you are a Thorns enjoyer, and this boyo is your boyo, your husbando or whatever, before I start reading, grab a pillow, hug it, go into a fetal position, you'll need it. And if the pillow is a Thorns body pillow, bonus points. But anyway, this is memory number 1, titled Dangerous Injection. And it says here on the left, when the silence invaded Iberian soil once again, someone from the ocean, from Thorns' memories, appeared before him. The Aegir will never stop thinking or searching until he finally verifies his conclusion. And we begin with part number 1. Within minutes of the coastline's collapse, silence floods the ears. The ocean's rumbling and the land's clamor all disappearing, as if the brain activity refuses to process the vibrations entering the oracle. In this moment, the terrible calamity leaves behind only a pure white void. The ground beneath one's feet may be crushed, sunken, or consumed by the spreading Nethersea brand at any time. Even the high ground upon which Thorns is perched offers no guarantee of safety. The Aegir who refused to evacuate watches as the ocean, for a brief moment, returns to serenity. He does not know if it was from the shockwave or some other reason, but a strange heterogeneous fluid begins to flow from his ears, moistening his gloves and scrambling to be first to overflow from the gaps between his fingers. It is blood. Thorns does not mind bleeding. Nothing else matters in comparison to the scene unfolding before his eyes. He had to admit he'd never found Iberia pleasant. He'd spent much more time around the coast than in the inland cities. He once left both Iberia and Aegir behind, and even now does not consider either place his homeland. but afterward he still returned to this place, to the sacred land of Iberia. He once thought he might have the opportunity to rebuild the Golden Age sung about in the stories, a desire he'd held onto until today. The blood flowing from his ear trickles down to his neck, causing an indescribable itching. He cannot help but to perceive his own blood as some kind of foreign substance, and this act of bleeding as a process to purge it from his body. The foreign substance drawn out by the sea keeps Thorns rooted in place. What exactly is it that exerts its influence on him from the depths of the ocean? This strange magnetism had grown more and more apparent with each passing day, and it became increasingly difficult to convince himself to ignore it. A singer once said to him, "Whether or not you fear it, it will come for you." But whatever it is that the singer said would come for him, was it his so-called homeland, or the sea creatures before him? He must find out. Until this question has been answered, he cannot escape from this place. Part number 2. The Aegir never thought of himself as someone who could hallucinate, but as soon as the pure white silence ends, a sharp pain begins to scream out. The shadows of lifeforms about to teem forth emerge from the distant ocean, and at the far end of his fragmented vision, he sees a figure that should not be there. Though its body has transformed into that of a pure seaborn, an uncanny intuition helps Thorns recognize that he is looking at his former mentor. Not so much by its physical form, but rather by a flash of enlightenment across the membrane of cognition the moment his eyes make contact with the monster. In that instant, what once seemed like layers upon layers of contradictions in the past all unravel, answered. The Iberian priest who had imparted him invaluable knowledge had since the very beginning been part of the deep. The priest from the deep stands upon the broken shore, bringing with it not terror, but rather peace. The sea terrors circle it, emitting soft whispers of joy. The seaborn shake their slender wrist appendages, swaying in the tide. Pure and clean are they among the wee many, swaying gently in the tide. The evening sun sets behind the priest's back, its grey shadow gently reflected by the ocean's surface in scattered polka dots. The priest stands there, looking at him.
"What a joyous reunion, my child!"
From within the ubiquitous whispers comes an emotion, one that we, many, should not possess, one that belonged to an individual.
"You yearn for the ocean you have never met, yet also worry about your ancestral lands. Is that the reason you remain here, unwilling to retreat? Within your blood still flows the gift I left for you. It should not have meant anything, but you've already spent too long with we many. You seem to still be hesitating, wondering, searching for something. Did you find what you were looking for here? The will of we many will subsume that of the individual, though there will always be exceptions. It may not be the most optimal of paths, but my extensive thoughts have brought me here. As for you, do you have your answer?"
The priest holds out his hand. The brood begins to blossom, the offspring of the sea extending their tendrils toward him.
"You must think for yourself and make your own decision. You must make a choice. Oh, I wish you could embark upon the path most suited for you, my child."
The seaborn's voice brushes across the surface of the sea like ripples stirred by the wind, diffusing outward layer by layer, Thorns can understand this voice. All this time, the person he is facing has always taught him to maintain his independent thought. In all previous approaches to verification, if all previous approaches to verification have failed and new hypotheses are established, then will the option in front of him help him find the answer he seeks? At the terminus of his life, will this option in front of him be the answer he sought? The sun sets within Thorns' eyes. We many do not immediately march upon the land, but instead gradually retreat. The sacred mural is scattered and broken. Silver and gold pour onto the ocean's surface. The Aegir raises his sword and points its tip at the priest. Part 3, final part. For how long has the city held? A few days, a week, or a month? Desperation continues to grow, but the people continue to dwindle. The team that went out for reconnaissance was unable to return. The communication equipment they used was brought back by a dying Inquisitor. Their last report stored within the broken down machine. At the end of the recording is a brief and peaceful farewell. His companions had drawn their last breath fighting against the Seaborn. The soldiers fell into a swarm of sea terrors. The medic exhausted the last bit of his energy, staining a tool for healing with the blood of his enemies. The guards responsible for holding the line boldly erected barriers so the people could retreat, barely holding back the sea terrors and Seaborn until the town could stand no longer. Their still running equipment buzzing defiantly until it too finally ceased. But Thorn still remains here, striding forward as everything else recedes, cutting through the lines of people evacuating inland like a countercurrent rushing out to sea. The Aegir stands alone on the coast, a fluorescent reagent resting in his hand. When he made this potion, he knew he would have to use it one day. As for where its raw ingredients came from and how they were processed, only Thorns, who had cut through the overgrown body of his transfigured mentor, knows. Is it green or is it blue? Who can say for sure what the color of the sea is? Thorns cannot, but he knows one thing well. He will come to embrace it. He is the sole human here. Countless progeny of the seas surrounded him, but do not attack. They considerately allow him a moment to himself. No matter if right and wrong have been turned inside out, no matter how the truth is interpreted, Thorns has made up his mind. He must come to understand what has always been calling out to him. He needs to know that which can no longer be hidden. He needs to know, when he becomes one with them, will he still be able to wound the sea itself? This is a quandary that has never ceased to plague his thoughts. Every day in which he still does not understand is a day he will spend continuing his search. Thorns has always been searching for this answer. He is confident in himself and believes that even if his consciousness is washed away, he will still remain clear-minded. He has also considered the possibility that even if he loses this gamble, the doctor knows exactly what his weaknesses are. As long as the doctor exists, everything can still be resolved. There is nothing holding him back anymore. At this very moment, all he needs to do is follow through on his own thoughts and decisions. The self-aware Aegir presses down on the far end of the potion and slowly pushes his homeland into his body. The end. And good night, sweet prince. Oh boy. But yeah, this is our first entry into the memory mapping sections with Thorns and his essentially final moments as an individual before, as you just saw, He embraces the sea. Boy, I'll say this, on stream, the moment where you get to the text where it says the doctor knows what to do, that moment broke me. That moment broke me. I was like, oh no. Oh no. Anyway, these are very interesting stories. I'm both sad and happy. Sad not because of I wanted something else out of these stories, but depression ho, I guess. These are very interesting stories, and I am both looking and not looking forward to the next month, which will be well, I say next month. By next month I mean July, not June, when they add the next one, which is gonna be Irene. And oh boy, do I not look forward to read any of the future incoming stories. But we will do it, and we will do it also live on stream. So yeah, consider subbing and joining me on this journey if you are not subbed and you are listening to this. So this will definitely be something to go through. And I have yet to reach the first ending, so that will also be something to look forward to, or not to look forward to. Oh boy, I'm terrified. I'm terrified what this is gonna bring. But anyway, sorry for the rambling. Thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. I don't even know if I should have said if you enjoyed it, but I hope you enjoyed it regardless of what is in the text. Anyway, if you liked the video, please consider leaving a like. It would help me a lot and mean a lot to me. If you're new to the channel, consider subbing. There's a lot more of this kind of stuff. I will leave in the description of the video as well the links to the narrations of Arknights and Stultifera Navis. And on the channel you can find multiple things, from narrations of pretty much all the Abyssal Hunters and sorta Abyssal Hunters and not Abyssal Hunters, full files that I did before the Stultifera Arknights releases last year, or reruns for one of them. So if you want to know more about the characters that are involved with this, look no further than through this channel, and you can just lean back and listen. But aside of that, thank you all for listening. I hope you have a fantastic day despite listening to this story, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, bye bye.